From Learfield on the Mustangs Sports Network, this is the Pony Express Show with head coach Rhett Lashley, presented by SMU Cox School of Business, your ally for life. Visit coxgrad.com to learn more. Now at Ozona Grill and Bar on Greenville Avenue, here is your host, Rich Phillips.
Good evening and welcome to another week of the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley, the head coach of the SMU Mustangs. Will be up here shortly. We've got a couple of guests on tonight's show and a great crowd joining us here at Ozona Grill and Bar. Did something big happen? There's so many of you here tonight. Yes, something big happened. The battle for the Iron Skillet. We've got the Iron Skillet right up here. See? If you've not had your picture taken with it, by the way, we'll have it set up again after the show here so you can get your picture then, and they text it to you so you'll have it forever as the Mustangs with a 66-42 win last Saturday night over the TCU Horned Frogs. And one of the people joining us to talk about it tonight, sitting right beside me, let's welcome in SMU center, Ja'Kai Clark. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I think we're all doing good, right?
Yes, sir. Especially after that win.
That, it's weird because with transfer portal, and you're a transfer guy who transferred here last year, sometimes I wonder, do the rivalries matter? I think that one matters, though. When you get a big trophy like this, it matters, right?
Yeah, all rivalries matter. You always want to beat the guys that we don't like. So.
Yeah. Well, you were back at center here the last 3 weeks now. Played right guard in the opener. Is center where you feel most comfortable?
Yeah, I played center for a majority of my life, so being at center just comes naturally to me. I feel comfortable at guard also, but center is just a different feeling.
Do you have more of the calls you make as the center, or is that another spot on the line?
I think everything runs through the center, but I mean, communication runs through the entire offensive line. So if anybody feels like they need to, if they see something, they'll point it out, or if they feel like I made a mistake, they'll help me out. But a lot of the calls run through the center, though. You
transferred here last year from Miami, and you admitted it. You didn't come in here in good enough shape to play at the start of the season.
Right.
Was that were you disappointed in yourself when that happened?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on, but I think credit to the strength staff and the coaching staff for being patient with me and working with me, and obviously I'm here now talking to you guys, so something worked out right.
Something did, yes. You did play in the final 6 games last year. The postseason games don't count, so you could still get your red shirt. You'd been primarily a starter, though, since you'd gone to Miami in 2019. How hard was that for you to have to watch so much last year?
Oh, it was tough at first, but, thankfully we have a team full of great guys who welcomed me in with open arms. And, I mean, it was great seeing how well this team plays together. So, I mean, it was difficult for maybe like the first week, but afterwards I'm like, I love the guys on this team. So, I mean, I had absolutely no problem sitting back and watching.
What'd you do to commit yourself to being ready and being in shape this fall?
I just wanted to get back to who I know I am. I know I'm a hard worker, and I know that, I have it in me to be in good shape and be a great player. I just have to get back to doing the things that I know I should be doing, cutting out all the bad stuff in my life and just getting back to doing everything right. A lot of coaches say how you do anything is how you do everything, and just implementing that into my life it helped me out tremendously.
You guys opened up last week with a field goal drive, and then it seemed like almost an hour before you guys got back on the field because defense and special teams took over. Had to be fun watching that from the sideline, wasn't it?
Oh, it was great. So again, to sit on the sideline, drink some water while I watched the other guys go out there and ball out. So, obviously after, I think the first 2 times that happened, I was excited, but after a while, I was like, man, I want to get on the field and hit someone too.
They're taking away your opportunities out there.
I know.
That's a good thing, though. This offense has been much more balanced, I think, than people realize. Averaging 206 on the ground, 204 through the air. Do you like having that kind of versatility in your attack this year?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it keeps the defense on their toes. They don't really know how they were going to attack them. And just being able to do what you want offensively is always a good thing.
Which do you prefer, run blocking or pass blocking? Your coaches are here too, remember?
I know.
Your position coach, your head coach, they're both here.
So I feel like the old line answer is run blocking. But me personally, I kind of like pass blocking a little better.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just that's when you get to see like a defensive lineman's real skill set, and that's where I feel like I'll get tested the most. But it's just fun. I mean, if you go against an elite pass rusher and you're able to keep them off the quarterback the entire game, it makes you feel real good.
What's like your plan of attack on each snap? You're lined up over that nose tackle's over you, the other tackle's over you. What's your plan of attack on that guy each play?
I mean, I start off, I want to get my feet in the ground, be balanced, and then strike with my hands. You know, try to throw them off of their track. I mean, most guys have a plan in their head of what gap they need to be in, or a move that they're going to work. And my whole plan is to disrupt that.
Your sophomore year at Miami, Rhett Lashley came in to be your offensive coordinator there. Obviously, there was some connection there that was good since you decided to transfer here. Same with a lot of your teammates, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was it about Rhett that drew you guys to keep working with him here?
I mean, he's just a straight up honest guy. I mean, he's going to tell you exactly what you need to do to be great. I mean, he's also a coach that you can go in if you have any problems or anything you want to talk about. His door is always open. I mean, and in terms of coaches that I've had, he's been my favorite coach that I've had throughout my college career. And so, like you said, like there's a reason that all the guys came from Miami and wanted to play with him again.
One of those guys is, of course, Brashard Smith, your running back now, who played a little running back, but played a lot of receiver with you guys at Miami. Yeah. How impressive has his transition been to full-time running back for you this year?
Man, it's been outstanding. Just seeing him transition into a role that he hasn't really played before, and how he's developed through the spring and the summer into what he's doing now. I mean, obviously, we all knew that he was a great athlete, but for him to really take that role and embrace it, I mean, it's helped our offense tremendously.
Back to the ACC now with Florida State coming in this week. What are we in for when we start seeing these ACC teams here with the Seminoles this Saturday night?
I mean, you're going to get a nice physical battle, especially in the trenches. But I think it's one that we're prepared for and one that we want to dominate. And I think we have the ability to do that. But it's going to take everything that we have in terms of assignment, technique, and obviously physicality. We're going to have to bring it on Saturday.
These defensive ends, Patrick Payton, Marvin Jones Jr., their tackles, Joshua Farmer, Darrell Jackson, it's quite a foursome you guys got to deal with. What have you seen from them on tape getting ready for this week?
They're all long, athletic, strong. They play with good pad level, and they're just honestly they're probably one of the better fronts that we'll see. But again, good technique, good physicality can eliminate all that. Size. I've always been one that felt as though size doesn't really mean everything. So, I mean, if you play with good pad level and really hit a guy like they haven't been hit before, it might change how they play the rest of the game.
Well, let's hit some guys this week. And what do you say?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hear it for SMU center Ja'Kai Clark. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Ja'Kai joining us here tonight. First up on the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley. We're going to talk more offensive line here in just a moment with Garen Justice. Want to remind you each week you can submit questions online at smumustangs.com for our Ask the Coach segment. You can also submit questions with our staff here on site at Ozona Grill and Bar. And we will talk with the offensive line coach, Garen Justice, coming up next here on the Pony Express Show. Welcome back here to the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley. I am Rich Phillips. We do this every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock at Ozona Grill and Bar. Of course, the SMU Mustangs at home this Saturday. It is the first ever ACC game for the Mustangs. Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Florida State coming to Ford Stadium. On the ACC network, I'll have it on 96.7 and 1310. The ticket beginning at 6:30 with our radio pregame show. We'll have the head coach up here in a moment, but right now, let's talk to the SMU Mustangs assistant head coach, offensive line coach, and co-offensive coordinator. That's a lot on your business card. It's Garen Justice. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. We're all doing great this week, I think. 66-42 will do that, won't it?
We're worried about Florida State right now, but it was a good day or two of celebrating, and we've got to move on because we got a big opponent this weekend.
Just had Ja'Kai up here. You've got to be happy to have him as a full go this season.
Yeah, that's family now. We've been together for 4 years now, and in college football terms, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So Ja'Kai's a guy who is an extension of what we're trying to do offensively. He calms things down. The way I see the game, the way I want things done, or the way we want to block things is kind of the way Ja'Kai sees things. So there's a lot of peace of mind when we go to game day, knowing that you have the guy who's kind of setting everyone in order and in place, that's the guy that is going to see it the way we see it.
We've seen some movement on your offensive line here through the first 4 weeks. Last week, settling in with Andrew Chamblee at left tackle, Logan Park guard, Ja'Kai the center, Justin Osborne at right guard, and P.J. Williams at right tackle. You feel that this is probably the group that we're going to stick with here?
I don't know if we need to announce it if we are, but you know what? I think those guys had a good showing. Savion and Chamblee both rotated at left tackle. Feel confident with 7 or 8 of our guys to go in and play and win games for us. You saw a guy like Ben Sparks who has played a lot, hasn't started, but he came in the winning drive in Nevada, has subbed in when Ja'Kai went down and played a lot of right guard. Like, we have a lot of guys like that on our roster. We're within the O-line room. I think we can step in and play it. And as the season goes, you have to play so many bodies because of injuries and things. So it's important we have the crossover. I think early in the year you don't have those preseason games. You don't have the exhibitions. You just don't really know how it's going to fall until you see another opponent and you make some mistakes or you have a bad game. And unfortunately, that sometimes happens for you to figure it out and get it right. And I think we're getting a step closer to getting that right.
Chamblee, a new guy in your group there, started 8 games at Arkansas last season. What has he brought to your offensive line group this year?
I think you said it. I think he just brought experience. Is the fact that he's been in big-time games. Like we go on film and you see him playing at Alabama. You see him play at LSU. So the moment's not going to be too big for him, especially when you start talking about these ACC conference games. It's a guy who's kind of been in the fire and has some experience in having success.
Justin Osborne is a guy who I can't keep track of where all he has started because it's been most everywhere. 45 starts already for J.O. in his career here at SMU. He's got to be one of the perfect leaders for you to have in that group too.
He is, and he's embraced that role, and the guys have embraced him. And a lot of that just because of the player he is, the person he is, the versatility of what he can bring. We talk about on a chessboard, he's the queen. He can make all the moves that every person needs to make. And really, like, we had him at right guard last weekend, and it's probably as much in a natural position. You saw him play the first game of the year at center. He played some for Ja'Kai last week at center. He bumped out to tackle into last year and some this year. So he can do it all, but probably in fairness to him, that's probably where he's best as a guard.
And then P.J. Williams started to emerge some for you last year. What has his growth been like here in his second season now in your program?
Well, I think you mentioned about just settling on 5 guys and things like that, and we talked about playing more than that. PJ was a guy who wasn't in that top 5 the majority of the season last year. Yeah. We played him. Now we enter this year, and because we played him and kind of forced him along and brought him along, now everyone looks at him like a starter. He's playing really, really good football, and we feel great about where he's at developmentally.
Logan Parr's a guy who walked in and starting for you right away last year. What have you seen from his growth here in 2 years?
Yeah, Logan's just steady. He's a guy that just does everything you ask him to do. He's rock solid on and off the field. There's nothing about Logan that – he's a coach's dream as far as what he does and how he handles himself.
You mentioned Savion Byrd, who I know played a lot of left tackle last week too, kind of rotated in there with Chamblee. There's nobody happier on a day-to-day basis, is there, on this team than Savion Byrd?
Well,
When I come to practice, there's one guy who will always come over and talk to me for just a moment on the sideline during practice, in between drills. It's Savion Byrd.
We love Birdman. We love Birdman, and he loves SMU. So we're glad we have him. I think that's another guy that we have to find a spot for him to let him settle in and let his talents and abilities come through. Because, I mean, if you lined up talent-wise, he is as talented and physical of a guy as we have. And I think he's finally starting to settle into what we're doing offensively, what I'm trying to implement as a coach. It's starting to slow down for him. And I think week in and week out, you're going to see an improvement in his game.
All right, so 66 points last week. No sacks allowed. Had a 100-yard rusher. Had to be a great day grading the offensive line, I would hope, on Sunday morning.
Well, it helps when you get out to 17 or whatever. You get a couple touchdown lead, and you don't have to feel like you have to throw the ball to get out in front or compete and do those things. But we're happy with our performance. We needed to bounce back because the BYU performance wasn't very good. So it was nice for those guys to respond, and we had to adjust how we were doing things, some coaching wise. We had to fix how we were practicing some certain things, put some guys in the right spot, and the guys responded and made the plays. So it was really good to see.
You mentioned your focus on Florida State now, obviously. Well, how tall is this task with that D-line you guys are going to be facing?
I mean, there's a reason they were preseason ranked and have all the accolades they have. They look the part. I mean, they're going to be as pretty of a team that walks into the stadium as you'll ever see here in our stadium. And we like that. We're excited for that, but also it's a big-time challenge.
Yeah, they really got things going, I thought, up front last week in the Cal game, especially Patrick Payton. That's a tough guy off the edge. He had 3 sacks in last week's game.
Yeah, I'm aware. But so
I'm
much
glad
of
to know
it
that.
is so much of it is just the length, size, speed. Guys with that length, guys with that size, guys with that speed. Even if you block them, maybe on the first rush move, it's the quarterback scrambles, and they're so long and athletic that they can track those guys down. So he's a problem. I mean, both those guys inside are problems as well. The front four, they have a lot of skills and a lot of weapons, and we're going to have our hands full.
Yeah, I thought Joshua Farmer for a defensive tackle, that's an extremely athletic 318-pound guy playing inside.
Oh, yeah, and both of those guys, him and Jackson both, when you see them come off the ball, they knock guards backwards. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have to set our pads, get down our feet, set our pads good, and try and have some success.
Can we call you an FSU guy? You got your master's there, right?
I'm an FSU. Yeah, I'm a Bobby Bowden FSU guy. I'm always loyal to Coach Bowden. Coach Bowden was very instrumental in my career and where I'm at now. And just the way Coach Bowden handled his staff, treated people. He was the type of person who never knew a stranger. And you could see, I was kind of at the end of Coach Bowden's run, but you could see why he had the success he had, what made Florida State great in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So all those things, you could see it when I was there, and it really left a lasting impact on how I needed to treat people and in the building and players I get to coach and all those experiences.
That's awesome. Yeah, you are an ACC guy to some extent too. You worked with Rhett at Miami before coming here. What are we in for as this ACC schedule starts up for Saturday night?
Well, hopefully a lot of fun. Hopefully it's a great season. You know what? I mean, I think that's – you look at the transfer portal and the negatives and positives of it, but we've got a lot of guys who's been in the ACC and played in ACC games, and we talked about Andrew Chambly, who's been in SEC games. So I don't think it's our roster. They don't necessarily look at themselves and say, "Oh man, I'm a Group of 5 player who's a Group of 5 last year." They transferred into SMU because they believe in Coach Lashley and the vision that we have in this university, and it just so happens that we made that move up to the ACC. But a lot of our guys in the locker room, the reason we had success last year is they never viewed themselves as being lesser of a player or lesser of an athlete, and they always thought highly of themselves.
Garen, always good to see you. Thanks for coming out tonight, and let's knock some guys off the ball Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That's Garen Justice, SMU offensive line coach. Coming up next, we'll have the head coach on the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley. Welcome back here to the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley. This is every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock here at Ozona Grill and Bar. College football is back, and simplify your tailgate planning and upgrade your game day at the biggest SMU games this season. Full-service tailgates are selling fast. Contact Rebel XP at 214-935-1683. And I think some people are excited to see you here, Rhett, after 66-42, huh?
They're not excited to see me. They're just excited with that win, and this is really cool. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
You know, yeah, they're standing up for our kiddos, and they deserve it. So,
man, it was a wild night. Record number of points by either team ever scored, and that's in 103 meetings.
yeah.
3 non-offensive touchdowns, all come on long returns. One coach got ejected from the game. And there was a record number of students that turned out. That was quite a night.
It was quite a day. I mean, yeah, we did score 3 non-offensive touchdowns, and I'm really mad at Jafari for being a half a foot short of a fourth.
I thought he was in.
I guess he wanted Burchard to have another touchdown, and so yeah, and I mean, you said it, our students were incredible. Like when we were coming out of the tunnel before the game, you looked over to the right, and it was surreal. It just looked and felt different. And then the stadium, you know, when Crossley picked up the fumble to run it back, and then when Junior returned the punt, it's never been that loud. It's never had that kind of energy, and it was just awesome. And our guys fed off of that, and things snowballed from there.
Yeah, I didn't quite get the right perspective, I guess, up the press box, because when I saw some of the highlights in social this week, I mean, that's as insane a crowd scene as I've seen at any place, it seemed like.
Yeah, no, it was – I mean, that's the atmosphere we need, week in, week out in the ACC. That's what Ford Stadium needs to be known for. Our fans are incredible. I have no doubt it'll be probably even crazier this week. And that's what we want our program to be. You know, when you're winning, they energize us for things to snowball like they did, and our guys feed off of it. And maybe when we're struggling, they're there to help pull us out of it and let us come back and win. And that's what the home field advantage is all about.
Game started, you're moving the ball, wind up with a 51-yard field goal for Colin Rogers. That gave him the career record of 45 field goals at SMU. And by the way, he hit 3 more on the night, and he is the only player in the country with 4 field goals of 50-plus.
Is he? Okay.
He is.
There you go.
Now, the guy we're going to see Saturday on the other side has
really
3.
Good.
He's really good, too, yeah. But after that field goal, it seemed like it was 45 minutes before you called another play, man.
We didn't have another drive in the first quarter.
No.
You know, I think our defense went 25 straight plays they were having to be on the field that we never took a snap, which is just crazy. At the end of the game, you know, we made up for it in the second and fourth quarter. We had 1 drive in the first quarter, 2 drives in the third quarter. You know, and some of that for good reasons, obviously.
Sure.
But, like, you know, you did get concerned, like, okay, we're up 17-0, and don't get me wrong, we were great with that. But they went to a TV timeout right after the punt return, which gave us about a 4-minute breather. And I remember thinking if they didn't, I was going to start calling timeouts just to give our defense a break.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're playing great, but they got to keep going right back out on the field. And that, I think we wore down a little bit. But then, you know, we had that surge right before half and picked it right back up.
Obviously, the big plays, the Brandon Crossley 51-yard fumble return, the junior, Roderick Daniels Jr. 69-yard punt return. But let's not overlook what the defense was doing in there. He had a 4th-and-1 stop at midfield. Even if they don't fumble the ball, huge there. Maud Walker with the tackle and the forced fumble. And then a 3-and-out on the next possession that led to the punt for Junior. I mean, the defense really helped turn the tables there in that first quarter.
Yeah, in a matter of like 5 plays, we scored 2 non-offensive touchdowns. And, look, they did what we needed to do. We stopped the run. They ran for about 65 yards, and like 25 were on the last drive of the game. We stopped the run, made them one-dimensional. They're really good at that one dimension.
Yeah.
But you see what happens when you make somebody one-dimensional. You know, we had the sack fumble, but we had a lot of the times we maybe didn't sack him, but we affected some inaccurate throws. We had 5 turnovers, 3 picks. You know, it just you can't be one-dimensional and sustain it for 4 quarters very often, and that's what we were able to do. We're effective, and, of course, the spark play, scoring points is always good.
In the end, it's a 24-point win, and it felt like even more. You know, they had a late touchdown there.
Yeah.
But, boy, it wasn't just like it was a laugher all night. I mean, they scored 2 quick touchdowns. Suddenly it's 17-14. It was game on there in that second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, look, even though we were up that quick, you knew they'd make a run. They go down and score because their defense had been on the field for a while. Then we fumble. They score. But I thought the best thing about the whole game is you started seeing versions of what our team was all about last year is every time something happened, we responded. You know, they made it 17-14. We had just fumbled. What we do, we go right down the field, score a touchdown. I think that's the drive. Ja'Kai got a little banged up. Come out of timeout, we hand off, run the power, go 35 for a touchdown. That's a statement. That's a powerful, physical football play against somebody we want to do that against. And then, they go right down and score again. What happens, offense goes right down the field. Kevin makes a great throw to Jordan for a touchdown on third down, and then we snowballed from there. But just the way we responded each time is what we got to be able to do, because that's how games are going to go for the most part. I wish every game we'd score 3, almost 4 non-offensive touchdowns and get ahead 17-0. And we're going to work on that. But, that was big. It just, at the end of the day, it was as good of a team win as I've ever seen. We know how well the defense played, making turnovers. I know they're frustrated with some of the stuff late, but, they get to where they just got to throw it every down. They got weapons. Special teams, we had our first clean game. We didn't have any disasters. We scored on defense, on special teams. And then offensively, quietly, we had 9 drives and we scored on 7 of them, and we never punted the whole game.
Yeah.
The punter's dad flew in from Australia and didn't get to see him punt.
Well, he got to hold at least.
But he didn't get to see him punt.
Yeah.
So he can fly anytime he wants.
Yeah, sure. We'll welcome him for that.
Yeah.
Brashard Smith had 127 yards, scored 4 times, 3 on the ground, 1 reception. I guess we'll stop talking about him making the transition to full-time running back, right? He's done it.
He's done it, and I think he had 18 carries, he had 2 catches and a touchdown, a couple good kickoff returns. He was out of bounds by like that much, or we would have had another non-offensive touchdown. He's just – you can see he can make plays. He's really good with the ball in his hands, and we're going to need him to continue to do that.
His touchdown catch, we talked about it on postgame the other night. It looked like it was a play where I thought Kevin was going to just have to throw it away.
Yes.
And then I was like, he completed it. It's going to be first down. Awesome.
Yep.
And then suddenly Brashard figures out how to make it from the 10 to the goal line there without getting tackled. That was both guys made unbelievable plays.
He did. It was a great job of Kevin extending the play and finding Brashard. And then, to your point, he caught it, and I'm on the headset while he's running going, did he get the first down? And about, what seemed like 5 seconds was probably 1.5 because he's running. Coach Woods goes, how about a touchdown, so, which was fine. And then the one-handed catch for the 2-point play was incredible. And so, he's a playmaker.
It was Kevin Jennings' first start this season. Not eye-popping numbers, 14 of 19, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, no sacks. Mm-hmm. I thought the touchdown pass to Hudson was outstanding, and we just talked about the one there with Brashard. What's the coach's assessment of the first start?
Thought he was very efficient. He had 1 bad play, and, you can't drop the football, and thought he really did a good job of bouncing back from that. But he was very efficient. To your point, Garen mentioned it, the way the game started, you get up 17-0. The whole game plan is we were going to run right at them because we felt like that was their weakness. And for whatever reason, we felt like that would bring them up. They wouldn't come up, so we just kept running the ball. But when we needed plays, he made them. When we needed to play to start the second half right after they scored again, we responded with a 50-yard completion on a sprint out. The throw he made to Jordan's on a 1 to 10 degree of difficulty is like a 9.7.
Sure.
That's really hard to be as accurate as he was on time with that throw. I thought it was very efficient, and that's what we need, and that's what we got.
20-point game at halftime. Surely you didn't feel comfortable there.
Never.
Yeah. And then they opened the third quarter with a kickoff return for a touchdown. Called back on a hold.
Yep.
Some say questionable.
Oh, he got held, but, didn't have to call it. So, they did.
I thought on the sideline view replay it was questionable. I thought on the end zone camera it was a hold.
Yeah, when you watch it on the coach's film, you can see him pull his jersey and restrict him. When you see it from the side, you're like, Yeah. But that's football. Every play you could call a hold potentially. The official made the right call there.
One person certainly didn't agree with it and winds up getting ejected from the game 2 plays later. I just thought this was such an odd moment because, it was a game, and then they rip off a 90-yard touchdown drive and make it a 13-point game.
Well, it just goes to show it doesn't matter if it was a hold or not. They still scored. So, they still scored. We got to 13 to your point. But like I said, I just think the way that we responded, the very first play, we sprint out. It's the third read, by the way. And he gets off his first read, off his second read, hits Romello in stride. Next thing you know, we're in field goal range and things are rolling. And we just, every time they would try to make a run, which you knew they would, we seized the momentum back and never let them kind of get all the way back in the game. And that's what good teams do.
You mentioned they got their yards. Obviously, they were one-dimensional, so they threw a ton. But so many big plays, and we can't go any further without mentioning Ahmad Moses. 2 interceptions. The one that he scored on, I don't know how he got to return it because I thought surely he was going to the ground after he caught the ball, and the way he stayed on his feet was a minor miracle, I thought. And, boy,
Yeah.
he showed a ton of speed down that
He
right
did.
sideline, didn't he?
He did. I think he ran almost just under 22 miles an hour.
Wow.
Which was the fastest of the game for us, which is really fast. Anything over 20 is fast. But, yeah, to your point,
I think anything over about 8's fast, but okay.
Yeah. the way he caught it and then didn't fall down was incredible. But then to pop up, and I mean this really as a compliment to us, nothing against – I've never seen a guy run 60 yards straight with 11 opponents on the other side and him never have to zigzag.
Yeah.
He just ran straight because our guys did such an incredible job on defense of instantly turning and blocking for him, and we ran hard and they didn't. Like, they didn't really want to tackle him, and so he wasn't tackled.
He, by the way, was named the ACC Defensive Back of the Week, and Brashard Smith named the Running Back of the Week. I was surprised the kicker didn't get one, but I guess the guy had a game winner in there. So
That's all right.
It's all right. It's all right. But we have a lot of those awards in the league because there's
Give him something to shoot for,
17 teams, so we hand out a lot.
Yep.
But great to see those guys get recognized for things like that. We talked about it a little bit with Guerin, moving parts on your offensive line again last week, and you did a pretty significant shuffle of the parts. How do you think it went? And I don't know, Guerin doesn't want to announce it, but how do you think it's going to continue to go?
I think it went well. You know, this is the 5th year that Guerin and I have gotten to coach together, so I've got full faith in him. The guys in his room have full faith in him. You heard from Jakai. You know, here's the thing. You know, when you win, everybody talks good about you. That's a lot more fun. When you lose, everybody finds the reason, okay? We've played 4 games and only had 3 sacks. We're averaging over 200 yards rushing. Our offensive line has played fine. They played really well. We had 2 or 3 bad plays and a few bad moments in the game that we had a bad game. But I think they've done a really good job. And, you know, when you have some guys returning but maybe moving to different spots, when you have transfers, it's just like any other part of your team. The O-line room is no different than the offense or the team. It takes a few weeks to get the chemistry and get everything right. And I think Guerin and those guys in that room have done a great job of doing what O-linemen do, being humble, being selfless, finding the right mix. To his point, we said who the 5 starters were last week, but Savion played probably half the game at left tackle. Ben Sparks probably played half the game at right guard. I know Nate Anderson got in. So we still played 8 guys, and I think we've got those guys playing well and where they're confident.
I think it's simple to say. Best performance of the season, start to finish, top to bottom, all areas of the team. A relief, or is it what you just expected?
I mean, it was a lot of fun. Saturday night was a lot of fun. Sunday morning breakfast was yummy.
Yeah.
And
right here, right?
Well, yeah. And and then that was it. And you know, I wouldn't say it was relief. We knew we had that in us. And I was just glad our guys played to that level. And, you know, just, again, to do it in front of our fans, the entire SMU family deserves that. Our fans deserve it. Our students deserve it. Our players deserve it. Former players deserve it. Everyone deserves it. And so it was fun to get to be a part of that and watch our guys deliver that.
A few other notes on the team. Your running back position is getting tight. We talked about it a little bit last week. You said it was probably going to be the case. You did announce, I know yesterday officially, Jalen Knighton is done for the year with knee surgery. And then L.J. Johnson, a little bit of a question mark this week.
Yeah, you know, L.J. was running well. He 5 or 6 carries. I guess if my math right, it was 5 for 36 yards. I mean, both L.J. and Brashard averaged over 7 yards a carry in a game. That's incredible. Now, Brashard did have 18 carries, but still, L.J. was running really well downhill, and so, you know, that hurt losing him. But long-term, he'll be okay. He's still day-to-day for this week. Mm-hmm. You know, and then obviously Derek McFall is just going to continue to come on as a freshman. He's going to have a moment, and maybe this week, where he's called upon, and it's his moment, and we have full faith in him. And then, you know, Roderick Daniels is just a renaissance man. He can do everything. He has not played O-line yet. That's the only one. I know he could play DB. But, you know, we can hand him the ball too.
I'll go with him at DB, not at tackle. I don't think that'd be a good spot for him.
Well, we're going to pass it a lot if he's there.
Pass it quick, too,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
One other award to keep tabs on, by the way. Jake Bailey this week named a semifinalist for the Campbell Trophy. This honors a player as the best football scholar athlete in the country. It's combined academic success, football performance, and exemplary leadership. And I said, yeah, that's Jake Bailey.
Well deserved for him, absolutely.
He's been a tremendous part of your team since you got here, obviously.
Yeah, Jake Bailey's a winner. He's a stud. I mean, you've seen him have games like he did against TCU 2 years ago where he had over 200 yards or whatever he had that game. And then, but you've seen him just do whatever it takes to win for the team. He makes clutch catches for us. He blocks. He's the leader of that room. And so, it's been a joy coaching him. I'm excited we got him for the rest of the season.
This Saturday, it is the first ever ACC game for the SMU Mustangs. Florida State will be at Ford Stadium. It's on the ACC network. I'll have it on 96.7 and 1310. The ticket, 7 o'clock kick. We'll have our Pony Up pregame show right here on the SMU Mustangs Facebook page 2 hours before the game at 5 o'clock. So be sure and tune in for that as well as we get ready for a history-making night at Ford Stadium. And by the way, it was announced today that, it was announced Monday, that next Saturday's game at Louisville will be an 11 a.m. kick. That'll be on either ESPN or ESPN2, and I will have it on the ticket as well. It is time now for our Ask the Coach segment. It's brought to you by the Cox School of Business. 84% of recent SMU Cox School of Business executive MBA graduates were promoted in as few as 12 months after earning their degrees. We help senior leaders achieve their goals, from advancing to the C-suite to launching a business and more. See what SMU Cox can do for you. Visit smu.edu/Cox/Pony Express.
Kevin Knox always here, 84%. Hey, Kevin, can we get that up to 85? It's a rounder, safer number. It's more in like the B range, not the B minus,
Maybe I should enroll in that.
Kevin's the man. We appreciate this right here. Absolutely.
First up on our Ask the Coach segment from last week, at times it seems like the defense was oscillating between making big plays and allowing the big plays. Concern, or is the fan here reading too much into it?
No, I mean, look, there's a couple things. One, we got the big lead. I've already touched on early on. I think we gave up probably one or two touchdown drives really that they gave up in the first half. I mean, we've been on the field a lot, and that's a good football team. When you play good football teams with a quarterback and 3 receivers like that, that's going to happen. Both of those drives, we made them drive the field. We made them earn it, and that's a good job. I think in the second half there's a couple things. One, we didn't get the call on a 4th and 1 trick play. We got beat on another trick play. So our eyes have to be better. And I think the other thing too, you're human. When you get up and the score says 59-28, everybody relaxes, and that's hard as a coach. It's hard as a coach not to relax, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to get your guys not to relax, and I think we did a little bit, but that's a good unit. We got to stay on top of the coverage better. I think Coach Simons will tell you he wished we were been a little bit better on third downs, because we got him to third downs and fairly long several times, and we just didn't get off the field. But overall, we did what we had to do. We stopped the run. We forced 5 turnovers, and we're never going to apologize for that, so I'm not worried.
Those guys are out there trying to make plays, too, on the other side, so, yeah.
They're good, yeah.
And they are good.
Yeah.
Next up on Ask the Coach, do you foresee college football adopting the new NFL kickoff rule?
If the NFL likes it, yeah. I mean, if the NFL sticks with it, which I don't know, I'm sure they will. There's only been playing for a few weeks. Usually within a year or two, everything trickles down, so – whatever they tell us to do, we'll do. It wouldn't shock me.
It looks weird.
It does look weird. I honestly haven't gotten to watch enough NFL football to really even get it. Like, do you have to – you can kick a touchback? There's no penalty for that? Or you can
it comes
kick it
to
short?
the 30.
Or you can kick it short. Okay.
Or you can kick it short.
And if you want to kick an onside kick, you got to declare you're going to kick it. Saw that? Okay. Well,
yeah. The Cowboys did it twice and covered one the other day.
Which is hard to do, yeah.
Very hard. And
I mean –
everybody has to line up between like the 40 and the 35 or 35
I've seen
and
that.
30.
It does look weird. So, I mean, yeah, if they end up doing it and like it, then eventually we'll do it.
It's all about cutting down collisions is what they're trying to do.
I get it.
And the kickoff has become sometimes a throwaway play.
Well, here's the deal. In the NFL, they kick it in the end zone every time.
Every time.
In college, we're starting to get to that, so whatever.
Next one here. When a part of the team isn't performing as well as other parts, how do you keep it from becoming a problem?
That's a good question, but I think, the guys understand, especially because they practice against each other all the time. So offense, defense go against each other. They know what's in the other side, good or bad. And, I think you just continually tell the guys this, but they see it. They sense it. There's games where maybe the offense is going to be struggling and the defense has to pick them up. And then there's going to be games where the defense is struggling and the offense has to pick them up. And so, good teams and good cultures, and our coaches do a great job of this, instill that, the positivity that comes from when someone's struggling, just like we need our fans, right, when we're struggling. it helps make everybody better. Our guys know what's inside. Our defense knows how good our offense can be. Our offense knows how good our defense can be because they play against each other. So there's no, like, doubt of what they can do. So if they're struggling, you know, it's easy for human nature to get frustrated or start going over and being negative and point fingers. Really, you need to come over and pick them up, be positive, and say, hey, we got you guys so y'all get it going. Don't worry about it. And our guys have done a really good job of that because their coaches have instilled that in them, and they've bought into it, instilled it in each other. So, you know, I think our culture makes my job and our job a lot easier when someone's struggling.
Yeah. And finally, what's your favorite college football team besides SMU?
That's the one, yeah. That says Scarlett Lashley on the top of it.
It?
So my favorite college football team is SMU and SMU and SMU. I'm not taking the bait, dear. But I will tell you this, because I'll get in trouble if I don't give a real answer. My nephew is the backup quarterback at Minnesota, so I'm going to say the Minnesota Gophers.
All right.
Whatever they are. Golden Gophers.
Golden Gophers?
Yeah, them.
Okay. Fair enough.
I feel like that's fair.
Sure.
Got family playing there.
Very
so.
good. All right, that's our Ask the Coach segment this week. Let's get to Meet the Enemy. It's the Florida State Seminoles coming up this Saturday night, 7 o'clock at Ford Stadium. Meet the Enemy brought to you by Ozona Grill and Bar on Greenville Avenue with the best patio in town and happy hour from 4 to 7 every Sunday through Friday. Specials including free chips and salsa. Ozona Grill and Bar, find your comfort zone. And first up, ahead of this game.
Hold on. Before you get into your spiel, I got all these questions up here, but a lot of people really want to ask – everyone wants to know if we're ACC ready. Hey, is the radio team ACC ready?
Absolutely we are.
Are we ready? How are we going to represent?
We're going to knock it out.
Are we going to set a good first impression?
You better believe we are.
All right, y'all heard it.
I've already met with the Florida State guys.
Pressure's on.
We are ready to go. We have been looking forward to this just like you have for 13 months.
Perfect. Just making sure we're on the same page.
I got to really brush up on the touchdown calls. I'm ready to go. I love big plays. They get us over the top, and that's what we love. So
fair enough.
Get some homer call entries. That's what
I'm
we
in
need
for
there.
that. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Speaking of broadcasting, it must be a big game this week. The ACC Network just announcing that they will be on campus both Friday and Saturday at SMU.
Yep.
The ACC PM show will be on Friday from 3 to 5, and then the ACC Huddle Saturday at 10 a.m. That's going to be Lot J by the newly renovated Cox School of Business over on the Boulevard. Fans are encouraged to come out, be creative, bring signs to the ACC Huddle show on Saturday morning. That's big doings with the ACC Network.
It's a big deal. You know, the ACC Huddle shows like the ACC version of College Game Day. They go to the biggest ACC game every week, so they'll be there live. That'll be really cool on the Boulevard. You know, you got Eric McClain and E.J. Emanuel and Taylor Tannenbaum and Mark Rick and Eddie Roy, all those guys there.
Yeah.
So it'll be awesome. If
you haven't checked out the ACC Network, by the way, lots of great stuff. A lot of SMU content shows up there, but lots of other great stuff on the league. I saw an awesome show the other night, Twice as Nice, the legend of Charlie Ward. He was good. Florida State guy.
Glad he's not playing Saturday.
He was good in both sports, too. That was the Twice as Nice because he ended up being an NBA player, but that was an awesome one to watch. But, yes, 10 a.m. Saturday morning is when the ACC Huddle will be there, and, again, that's when they encourage fans to come out with their signs. Florida State does come in 1-3, did get their first win Saturday night 14-9 over Cal. DJ Uiagalelei, I've been working over a month on that. He engineers a fourth-quarter touchdown drive. Much of it went to Ja'Kai Clark, too, including the game-winning touchdown. They had a lot of good work on that one drive at the end. Not at the end, but at the start of the fourth quarter.
Did you say Ja'Kai Clark?
Yeah, maybe I got it. It's a Ja'Kai.
I'm just impressed that he was in two places at one time.
Yeah, you know, I'm preparing for him. I probably wrote down the wrong guy.
Okay. Back to DJ.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, did you ask that question?
Just, you know, their offense got it going there.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
in that fourth quarter.
They've got really good players. You know, I know you talked with Garen about the defense. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know, DJ played really good football last year for Oregon State, so it's in there. They got a couple of really good backs who are really good up front. Got two really good wideouts. Benson's really good, but then Hakeem Williams, we recruited him when we were down at Miami. He was the top guy in the state of Florida. So they've got skill players. They've got in there. Mike has been consistently, I mean, our fans remember when he was at Memphis. He's consistently been one of the better offensive play callers in college football over the last decade. And so, you know, they found a way to win, and that's the best thing you can do is you win, makes everybody feel better. And so they've got confidence as they go to prepare this week that they can now find that identity. And usually around 3, 4, 5 weeks in the season, you find your identity, especially if you're struggling a little bit, and you just get better and better each week. So we're going to get their best offensive performance so far this year, I have no doubt.
Ja'Kai Douglas, by the way.
Okay, good.
I was close.
It would have been cool, though.
Yeah, it would have been cool. Yeah. Of course, they opened the season at number 10. I think we probably all watched them on opening day because we played later that day. Lost their first 3. I thought yesterday in your press conference you said it best about them. Nobody missed in the preseason on the projection of their talent.
No.
For sure. And that's quite a group.
They didn't. I mean, the roster is really talented. The coaching staff's really good. I mean, obviously they went undefeated a year ago. So, look, it's hard to win. And you can lose for a variety of different ways. I mean, I think the 3 teams they lost to, we all see are really good. And Georgia Tech and BC are a lot better than people thought they'd be. But, you know, it's college football. You're dealing with college-age young men. Anything can happen. But the roster, it's probably the fastest team. I know it's the fastest team we'll have played since I've been the head coach here. And it's probably the fastest team we've had come to Ford Stadium in a long, long time. They've got length. They've got size. They can run, which you expect out of a team from the state of Florida. So we got our work cut out for us.
Offensive line, they've had a few injuries and had to mix and match some, but they have more games played on their offensive line than any other in the country. Those guys have played 387 games. Not all there. They brought guys in. Big, strong, and experienced guys, obviously.
Yeah, and their O-line coach didn't get to coach the first 3 games. He was serving a suspension. He was back last week.
Oh, okay.
Back now. So that helps, right, with continuity. But, yeah, they've got big size and experience there. They got a quarterback who, even if he struggled so far this year, has played a lot of football, a lot of good football, both at Clemson and Oregon State. And they got really big-time running backs, and they got 2 receivers that are just as big a problem as the 3 from last week.
And then on the defensive line, boy, those ends, Payton and Jones. God, Patrick Payton's so big and rangy. And
you're doing to me what you did to Guerin.
What's that?
You're just making me relive the fact that that's who's going to be across from us on Saturday.
Oh, Joshua Farmer, the defensive tackle, is the one that I thought really jumped off the page to me.
Yeah, he's big and fast and big and fast. Like, they're – okay, so their 4 D linemen are impressive. Their linebackers run incredibly well, like Florida State linebackers always have. Their DBs are all 6', 6'1", 6'2", and can run. You know, that's a defensive unit that in their last 4 games this year and their 12 regular season games last year, so those last 16 regular season games, they've not given up over 29 points. Mm-hmm. That's impressive. So they did that last year. I think they gave up 6 to Louisville in the championship game as well. So they know how to play good defense. They kind of remind me both schematically and size and talent-wise about some of the Alabama defenses we would go against at Auburn. Their scheme's not overly complicated. They get up in your face. They take the air out of the coverage. They don't give you easy completions. They stop the run, and they can all really, really run. So a play that's a big play against someone else becomes just an okay play really quick.
You mentioned Mike Norvell. We've seen him a lot when he coached Memphis against SMU. You've known him all the way back to your Arkansas, his Central Arkansas days, right?
Yeah, probably about 06 or 07 is when we met. But, yeah. And, Mike's always done a good job. He's won everywhere he's been.
Metroplex guy, too, went to Grace Prep, I believe.
That's what I heard.
Arlington. Yeah. This is a storied program, 3 national championships. Garen talked about it some. Obviously, a legendary coach, Bobby Bowden, they had previously. It's like a flagship program, I think, in college football since the mid-'80s, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you saw what Bobby Bowden did from about 76 on until he retired, and that run they had in the 80s and early 90s, or really in the 90s, was just it's only been duplicated by Alabama, right, with what Coach Saban did. So it's really been the gold standard, or one of the standards of our league for a long time. So it's fitting. Our first game, we get to welcome them here to Ford Stadium, and that's who we get to play, the defending champs. And like I said, teams like this, they're the scariest because, most people just casually look at a record, or casually look at a logo, which in this case is a pretty impressive logo based on what you just said and their reputation. But it's a really dangerous, talented football team, and they're going to figure it out at some point. And when they do, they're gonna play like the team that was preseason top 10 and probably should have been.
Are you aware of how rare it is for them to come to Texas?
I'm not.
This is the first time they have been the road team in a game in Texas since 1976.
Okay.
They played at my alma mater, North Texas, of all places, in 1976. And on a very snowy day in November, won up there 21-20.
Snow in Texas.
I've seen videos of it. It's amazing.
Okay.
They've played 3 other games as a a neutral game, bowl games, and I think they played one of those kickoff classics. But we don't get to see guys. You can see teams like this. This is a landmark day on the Hilltop on Saturday.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a lot more of them, it sounds like, over the coming years, so that's good.
That's good. Awesome. Well, hey, I know I'm fired up for it. I'm sure your players are fired up for it. Are y'all fired up for this?
Yeah. It's going to be a fun Saturday at Ford Stadium. Hey, you get to Boulevard all day long.
Yes.
Night game at Ford Stadium. Let's go.
There you go. All right. It is a 7 o'clock kick Saturday night for Florida State on the ACC Network. I'll have it on 96.7 and 1310. The ticket beginning at 6:30 with the pregame show. I believe we'll have Brashard Smith on that pregame show on the radio side this week. And 5 o'clock Saturday evening, our Facebook show, the Pony Up pregame show from the Armstrong Fieldhouse. Rhett, it was sure fun last week. Let's have more fun this week, shall we?
Let's try to do it again.
All right, let's try to do it again. Hey, and next Wednesday night, come out and see us again for our next edition of the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley.
The Pony Express Show with head coach Rhett Lashley has been presented by SMU Cox School of Business, your ally for life, and hosted at Ozona Grill and Bar on Greenville Avenue. Find your comfort zone. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Mustangs Sports Network.